So if you're over the age of 70, almost everything society has told you about how much you should be eating might actually be, well, entirely backwards.
Oh, completely backwards.
Right, because, following that classic advice to just start eating like a bird as you get older, it might literally be the exact thing that's accelerating your biological aging.
It is honestly one of the most counterintuitive aspects of human biology. I mean, we spend our 30s, our 40s just constantly hearing about the benefits of caloric restriction.
Yeah, eating light, salads, all of that.
Exactly. And we mistakenly assume that trajectory should just kind of continue indefinitely. But we end up starving the very mechanisms that keep us structurally sound.
Wow. Okay, well, welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are exploring the biological reality of aging, and we're pulling apart the research and insights from this really fascinating collection of data titled Vital Habits for Resilient Aging and Longevity.
It's a fantastic source.
It really is. And our mission here today, for you listening, is to extract the exact, surprisingly simple daily choices that determine whether your later years become this period of just passive decline or, and this is the goal, a period of vibrant, active resilience.
And that distinction is just so crucial. We're not talking about biohacking your way to immortality here.
Right, no cryogenic freezing today.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Longevity isn't just about extending the length of your life. Adding a decade to your lifespan doesn't really mean much if your biological hardware is too degraded to actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's entirely about the quality, functionality, and the independence of that time.
Yeah, so whether you are actively looking for health strategies for yourself right now, or maybe you're trying to help an older loved one navigate their health, or, if you're just insanely curious about the underlying mechanics of human biology, which is definitely the camp I fall into.
I do.
Yeah, this material is just packed with incredible aha moments. So, okay, let's unpack this. Think of your body and your mind like a long-term compound interest account.
I love this analogy.
It works so well, right? Because we so often focus on making massive, heroic deposits, running a marathon, adopting some extreme restrictive diet, doing a grueling 30-day boot camp. But the data shows it's the tiny, daily, seemingly insignificant deposits that actually yield the compounding returns over time.
It is a perfect framework, because the research we're looking at highlights two highly specific habits that people unknowingly use to sabotage that exact compounding process.
Right.
So we are going to explore the biological mechanisms behind these habits and, more importantly, the underlying science of how to actually fix them.
Perfect. Let's start with the physical foundation because, you can eat all the brain-boosting berries in the world to maintain your cognitive edge, but that edge is practically useless if your physical vehicle is just actively failing you.
Yep.
Which brings us to the first massive revelation in the research, habit number 2 from the text, regarding protein consumption. I always assume that as you age and your lifestyle naturally becomes a bit less active, your body simply requires less fuel. Less meat, less protein, lighter meals.
It's an incredibly pervasive assumption, but it completely ignores a biological phenomenon known as anabolic resistance.
Anabolic resistance. Okay, break that down for me. What is that?
Essentially, as our bodies age, they become significantly less efficient at synthesizing dietary protein into muscle tissue. Your muscles literally become resistant to the growth signals.
Oh, wow. So they just stop listening to the fuel.
Basically, yeah. So a 30-year-old might eat, say, 20 grams of protein at breakfast, and their body easily flicks the biological switch that triggers muscle synthesis. But a 75-year-old eating that exact same 20 grams,
That doesn't work the same.
not at all. Their body might not even register it. They might need 35 or 40 grams in a single sitting just to flip that exact same biological switch.
That is wild. So it's like a brick building where the mortar is just slowly turning to dust over the decades.
Right.
The bricks are still there. But without flesh protein acting as the new mortar, the structural integrity of the wall is severely compromised. And because of this anabolic resistance, the older building actually needs a much thicker layer of mortar just to hold the bricks together compared to a new building.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize it. Because every single day, your body is in a state of protein turnover.
Right.
It's constantly breaking down muscle tissue and rebuilding it.
Okay, so it's a continuous cycle.
Exactly. And if you aren't providing an overwhelming abundance of the necessary building blocks, the amino acids, the breakdown outpaces the rebuilding. The wall crumbles.
Right.
And this natural weakening process rapidly accelerates, not because of a disease, but simply because the body doesn't have the materials to maintain its own structural integrity.
Okay, let me push back on this for a second, though. Because if I am 75 years old, and I take this advice and I start eating an extra serving of Greek yogurt or a couple of extra eggs every morning, but I am spending most of my day just sitting in my armchair reading Minnie. I mean, is that protein actually going to my muscles?
That's a really common concern.
Right, because wouldn't my body just store those extra calories as fat since I'm not in the gym lifting heavy weights?
It is a great question. While resistance training is obviously the gold standard for muscle growth, basal muscle protein synthesis happens regardless.
Basal meaning just baseline everyday living.
Exactly. Your body is constantly maintaining your heart muscle, your diaphragm, the postural muscles holding your spine upright in that very armchair. Even without heavy lifting, providing that higher threshold of dietary protein ensures that this baseline maintenance can occur.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and if you deprive the body of protein while sitting in that chair, it will literally cannibalize its own skeletal muscle to find the amino acids it needs for critical organ function.
Oh my gosh, it eats itself to survive.
It does.
And the research points out the specific warning signs of this happening, which, and this is the scary part, they're so subtle. It's not that you wake up one day and suddenly can't run a 5K.
No, it's much quieter than that.
Yeah, it's the micro moments. It's suddenly struggling to push your own body weight out of a deep sofa. It's feeling like the grocery bags are unusually heavy this week, or, getting winded much more quickly on your normal neighborhood walk.
And the real tragedy here is the misdiagnosis. When people experience these symptoms, they internalize it as an inevitable failure of their body.
They just think, well, I'm getting old.
Exactly. They assume it is simply old age catching up to them, and they accept it. When in reality, in many of these cases, it's a fueling problem. It is a nutritional deficit masquerading as inevitable biological decline.
Which is actually great news because it means we can do something about it. And thankfully, the data reassures us that, so what does this all mean? Do we all need to start buying giant tubs of expensive, chalky protein powders and choking them down?
Definitely not. Nature already provides wonderful choices. You just need to lean on accessible, natural sources.
Like what?
Eggs, Greek yogurt, beans, fish, chicken, nuts, everyday foods.
Okay, so adding just one extra serving to your breakfast can literally support stronger muscles, better balance, and greater independence.
Because that single addition helps you cross that anabolic resistance threshold we talked about earlier. It flips the switch.
Right, and there's this powerful quote from the source that I just love. Strength isn't built overnight. It's built one healthy choice at a time.
It all comes back to your compound interest analogy. That one egg, that one scoop of Greek yogurt in the morning, that is a daily biological deposit into your physical independence account.
Okay, so we have the physical foundation fueled and fortified. But a strong body isn't much use if the command center running it is left to atrophy. Which brings us to the mental side of things, right?
Yes. Now that the body is properly fueled, we have to look at the command center.
Yeah. Habit number 1 for the text, the habit health experts worry about the absolute most. Ignoring your brain. There's this incredibly common, completely defeatist belief among seniors that memory loss, moments of confusion, or just slower thinking are simply unavoidable.
It's so widespread. People treat their brain like a hard drive that is just slowly running out of storage space.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not true, is it?
Not at all. That metaphor is entirely flawed. The research focuses heavily on a concept known as neuroplasticity, which fundamentally proves that the brain acts much more like a muscle.
Use it or lose it.
Precisely. When you challenge it, it physically changes. It builds cognitive reserve.
Okay, let's define cognitive reserve for a second, because I hear that term thrown around a lot, but what does it actually mean? Are we just talking about doing a daily crossword puzzle to keep the brain sharp?
I mean, a crossword puzzle is fine, but cognitive reserve goes much deeper than that. Reading, writing, learning new things, solving complex puzzles, having really meaningful conversations, these activities physically create new connections inside the brain.
Okay, so it's structural.
Right. Think of your brain's neural pathways like a massive city traffic grid. As we age, certain roads naturally develop potholes or bridges get closed down. That is normal biological wear and tear. Cognitive reserve is the process of actively building brand new alternate routes through the city.
Oh, I like that. So if a main highway gets shut down, the traffic just seamlessly reroutes because you've spent years building a robust network.
Coffee has been the absolute cure for my morning brain fog. Are you telling me that the very thing that makes me feel alive is actually stealing my energy? How does that work mechanically? Because it just feels like a total contradiction.
It feels counterintuitive because caffeine is the stimulant, right? So we instantly associate it with wakefulness, but we have to look at the physical condition your body is in at the exact moment you are pouring that first cup. During the night, as you sleep for 7 or 8 hours, your body naturally loses a significant amount of water simply through respiration every time you exhale and through mild perspiration.
So you wake up every single morning in a state of mild dehydration.
It is a biological certainty. Your blood volume is slightly lower and your cells are depleted of moisture.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Think about your body like a houseplant. Imagine a houseplant that has been sitting in a warm room for 8 solid hours without a single drop of water.
Okay.
The soil is completely dried out. If the very first thing you do is pour a highly concentrated, acidic liquid fertilizer right onto that dry soil, you aren't nourishing the plant, you are shocking it.
That is a perfect analogy. And if we push that houseplant analogy further, when you pour acid on dry soil, the roots actually recoil and contract.
Oh, wow.
Your stomach lining and your cellular structures do something very similar. You are taking a system that is desperate for basic hydration and you are introducing a known diuretic on an empty stomach.
A diuretic being a substance that forces the body to expel water.
Yes. When you drink coffee, it forces the kidneys to work overtime. But because your blood volume is already low from overnight dehydration, the kidneys have to extract water from your tissues to process the diuretic. You are chemically wringing out a sponge that is already dry.
Oh, wow. So you were taking a mild hydration problem and turning it into a severe cellular crisis before you've even eaten breakfast.
And that is just the hydration aspect. The other mechanism at play is hormonal. We talked about cortisol earlier in the context of morning news.
The stress hormone.
Right. Well, cortisol naturally peaks in the morning anyway to help you wake up.
Oh.
When you add a massive caffeine spike on top of an empty, dehydrated stomach, you push that cortisol level into severe overdrive.
Which gives you that intense, jittery burst of energy. You feel like you can conquer the world. You think, the coffee is working.
But because that energy is built on a foundation of cellular dehydration and chemical stress, rather than actual nourishment, it is entirely unsustainable.
Right.
The body cannot maintain that state of overdrive forever. Eventually, it has to protect itself, which leads to a massive, steep drop in energy.
The dreaded midday slump. You hit a wall around 11:30 a.m. or noon.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where the most profound misinterpretation happens for people over 60.
What do you mean?
When that massive midday crash hits, when your limbs feel heavy again and you can barely keep your eyes open, the immediate thought is, well, I guess I'm just getting old. My stamina is gone. I can't keep up anymore.
But you're saying that midday slump isn't old age.
Not at all. It is severe cellular dehydration and a caffeine-induced cortisol crash, perfectly masking itself as aging. The body is quite literally powering down to preserve whatever water it has left.
So at noon, you aren't just a dry houseplant anymore. You are a dry houseplant that has completely burned through its artificial fertilizer and is now collapsing.
Precisely. You aren't exhausted because you're 68. You're exhausted because your cells are parched and your adrenal system is stressed out. Once you understand that mechanism, it completely changes how you approach your physical limitations. It gives you the agency back.
Which brings us to the final piece of the morning routine. Choosing hydration over caffeine.
Yes.
The action is simple, but non-negotiable. You must drink 1 full glass of warm water to rehydrate your cells, to water that dry internal soil before you ever let yourself touch your coffee cup.
The recommendation for warm water is important too. Cold water can shock an empty stomach and restrict blood vessels, which slows down the hydration process.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Warm water is gentle, it stimulates digestion, and it is immediately absorbed by the tissues. Once your cells are actually hydrated, your baseline energy is restored naturally. Then, if you want your coffee for the taste or the ritual, your body is actually equipped to process it without triggering a massive crash.
It is incredible how these 3 seemingly small shifts completely rewrite the narrative of the morning.
It really is.
We are talking about getting outside or looking out a window for 10 minutes of natural sun to turn off the melatonin parking brake. We are talking about guarding your mind with 30 minutes of peace to prevent a physical stress response that drains your glucose. And we are talking about drinking 1 full glass of warm water to fix overnight dehydration before introducing a diuretic.
3 habits that take almost no extra time out of your day, but fundamentally alter the physiological state of your entire body.
So what does this all mean? It means your life is built out of mornings. How you spend that very first hour creates the architecture for the rest of your afternoon and evening.
Absolutely.
If you constantly feel tired, the message from the blueprints is to stop giving up on your body. Listen to it. It is trying to communicate with you. It is asking for balance. It is asking for hydration, and it is asking for light. It is not asking to be old. Small, intentional changes to how you handle those first waking moments create massive, compounding results for your vitality.
But there is one more layer to this that we haven't touched on, and I think it's vital for anyone listening who wants to implement this blueprint tomorrow morning. We've established how crucial these 3 habits are: light, peace, and hydration. But consider for a moment how your physical environment might be secretly sabotaging your ability to actually perform them.
Wait, what do you mean by environmental sabotage?
Look at the layout of your bedroom right now. If your smartphone is the closest object to your pillow, resting right there on the nightstand,
Guilty.
and your bedroom features heavy, hotel-style blackout curtains that you have to physically wrestle with to open, and your water glass is all the way downstairs in the kitchen, your home is quite literally designed for fatigue.
Oh, wow.
It is designed to make the bad habits frictionless and the good habits incredibly difficult.
That makes so much sense. You're relying entirely on willpower the moment you wake up, which is when your willpower is at its absolute lowest.
Exactly. Taking that a step further, the real secret to reclaiming your energy after 60 isn't just mentally committing to changing your habits. It is completely redesigning your nightstand and your bedroom layout.
Right.
What if you left the phone in the hallway so you physically couldn't reach it from the mattress? What if you kept the curtains cracked just an inch to let the dawn light hit your eyes naturally?
Yeah.
What if you put a thermos of warm water right next to your alarm clock? If you design your physical space so that this new morning routine happens on automatic pilot, you never even have to make a choice. The vitality just becomes the default setting of your life.
Taking the friction out of the process entirely. Because you deserve to wake up and feel the potential of the day, not the weight of it. We want to thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Vitality Blueprints today. It's time to shake off that heavy fog, take off the parking brake, and step into the light. Keep exploring, stay curious, and enjoy the beautiful, energetic days ahead.